So next we have Grace Haddon, and before I read her biography, I just want to say that we were blown away by this story, especially the originality of it. It's called Zenith, and it's the first story, so you can't miss it, and there's no excuses for not reading it. Grace Haddon is a Leicester writer of fantasy fiction. In 2015, she won the short story category of Mallory Blackman's Project Remix competition and was shortlisted for the Sugarscape Fan Fiction Award. She appeared on BBC Radio Leicester to promote the Big Care Writer, a local charity initiative for which she is a regular writer. She's currently taking a creative writing degree at the University of Nottingham, where she was the editor for the class anthology, Vices and Virtues. Please welcome Grace Haddon, who will be reading her story, Zenith.
Can you guys still hear me alright? I've got like the world's quietest voice. Okay. The first memory I have is of floating around my bedroom when I was 3 years old. I'm fascinated by the steel panelling on the walls, tracing the ridges of the bolts with my fat little fingers. I push off with my feet, already a natural. Mum would always say I learned to fly before I could walk. She's laughing from my bunk at the other end of the room, her curly hair waving about her face. For a moment I'm distracted by the view out of the window, a swirl of white clouds skittering over the Earth's atmosphere far below us. Come on, Zenny, come on! She opens her arms towards me, but I'm drifting in the wrong direction, towards the open doors on the corridor outside. I flail my arms in panic and graze my elbow on the doorframe. It's okay, sweetheart, I've got you. Mum speeds over and gathers me up, stroking my hair as we fly together. Tiny drops of blood float up from the wound like bubbles, and I cling to her and cry, scrunching up my face and howling. Tears don't fall in space, not without artificial gravity at least. I don't understand this, and I cry all the more as my vision blurs up. Mum sighs and gives me a gentle squeeze. Not astronaut material, are you, sweetie? At 16, I'm your typical teenager, technical expert, social recluse, and a decent dancer in zero gravity. I'm also the first person to be born in space. I breathe deeply, each footfall shuddering through me as I jog down the corridor. The artificial gravity is misbehaving again, as I feel a stone or two heavier than usual. But I need the exercise, and in any case I'm running late. The base is surrounded by 3 giant circles of corridors, with a tower of rooms in the centre. Crew quarters at the top, 33 of us in total, greenhouse, cafeteria and living rooms in the middle, observation decks, briefing room and engineering on the bottom. There's a map of it on the wall of my room, but I've never needed it. I glance out of the window. For the people down below, it's morning. Sunlight creeps over the continents, trickling across the oceans and chasing away the darkness of space. Earth never looks the same 2 days running. When I was a kid, I used to try and draw all the little creases in the land, the speckles of tiny islands and the points of mountains. I never get tired of looking at it. I wipe my forehead on the back of my hand, cursing under my breath as I reach the lift and order it to go down. 5 minutes late by now. The commander won't be happy. Being under half the age of the rest of the crew doesn't excuse me for my duties. My birth caused quite the media stir down on Earth. Zenith Abney, the space baby. Experts said that I'd develop abnormally, with soft bones and a weak heart, not to mention zero social skills. Okay, maybe one of those things is true, but I didn't turn out too bad. I step out on the bottom floor and hurry to the briefing room. It's where we take classes on first aid and space maintenance and whatnot, but it's also the place for special announcements. The rest of the crew is already there, filling the plastic seats at the back of the room. At the front, the commander notices my arrival. She's short and sturdily built, with a freckled face and curly brown hair that falls to her shoulders. As well as being the first woman on the moon, a spaceflight expert and a badass leader, Jane Abney is also my mum. Her expression remains serious as I sit down at the end of the row. When we signed on for this 20-year mission, she says, we set out to do something amazing, to prove that it's possible to live in space indefinitely. We've shown that permanent colonies are a future possibility, and Earth has been very pleased with our findings. She exhales slowly, pausing to brush her fringe off her face. We've achieved everything we came here to do, and it's been agreed to close the mission 2 years early. It's time for us to go home. I gasp as fists rise into the air around me, accompanied by cheers and shouts. I stare at Mum. She's still talking, a faint smile on her lips as she mentions timetables and shuttle maintenance and supply checks, but I can't process the words. The gravity must have been repaired as I suddenly feel light again, my head floating. I'd never even thought about us going back to Earth. I didn't imagine this day would ever come. I'm the first one back to the lift, and when I'm back on middle deck, I don't stop running.